So moving swiftly on, I want to look now at how you become a conflict-competent organisation. It's useful to obviously make sure that you're working consistently to clear standards, procedures to close those disputes with the minimum of stress, negative impact. Make sure that you are managing and communicating and normalising the expectation that some situations need a third party to support them. But also, being clear what your vision and values is. What are the rights and responsibilities that staff have? How do you expect them to speak with one another? Put conflict management as part of the things that are the skills that are reviewed in your appraisals and PDRs. Encourage a culture of mediation, where you've got examples of people who have taken a direct approach with a colleague and worked through difficult issues using their own skills and their own heartfelt, belief that this can be done. Teach people to respond, not to react, to step out of the conflict zone and think about SOS. There's themselves, the other person, and the situation. What is the right thing to do that's going to help people to understand, to listen, to hear each other, rather than simply engage in a tit-for-tat retaliation. Think about using neutral assessment, where there's a chronic situation, you're not sure what's going on, no one's coming forward with a complaint. Do an assessment, get an overview of the situation. Put conflict management in there as a competency. Make sure that people are really clear what should be escalated, who's accountable at each step of the way. And vary the model of mediation. CMP's developed some new and alternative models, in addition to the more standard facilitative model, to make mediation more accommodating to the needs of the people themselves and the employers. So you're going to get something direct to mediation, which is around working quickly. It's very useful for issue-led disputes. It's not as slow, I beg your pardon, as the traditional mediation. It can usually be done in a couple of hours. And you get the other end where people are very stressed, they've been off with sick absence, they might have lost a lot of self-belief. So there's a more coaching-orientated, person-centered mediation, which works a lot slower and has a lot more support built in. And assisted mediation, which actually is the most popular one, it means an outcome is assured. It's a type of mediation where the mediator contracts up front that they'll move into joint problem solving. They'll roll their sleeves up and help people to come up with solutions if people are unable to do it for themselves. Okay, so very quickly, there's a real importance of knowing the cost of conflict. So I'm just going to very quickly show you, if anyone would like this done for their own organisation. There's a tool for entering some data that shows, I've done this for just a random organisation. You put in some key metrics that you probably have. What's your total headcount? We put in salary levels, put in some measures around sickness, absence, ET, claims, grievances, disciplinaries, and so on. If you don't have your own data, we've got some norms that we've taken from CIPD. We put in all this data, and at the end you can work out this poor organisation is spending 96.7% on grievances and disciplinaries, which means it's doing slightly better than the national average. The information is presented in a series of tables and graphs for you, so that you can present that when you need to make the business case. It also means you can get a benchmark. So this organisation is operating at 106% over the national average. Now that might simply be that they pay better than a normal average organisation. So CMP supports people in interpreting the data to make sure that it gives them a sensible picture. You also need to work out your resilience, looking at your close, manage and prevent capabilities. This organisation not doing too badly, but you can see it's investing quite a lot in managing and much, much less in prevention. And finally, there's a way of identifying the business case for mediation by looking at the relative costs of external or internal mediation and the kind of return on investment that you might expect. And that's a conflict profile people are welcome to contact me about if they'd like one for themselves. Okay. Okay, now I need to go back.
Catherine.
Hi, Rima, can you get me back?
If you want to stop sharing, there you are.
Okay.
And then just
go back to the CMP file. So there we go. Okay, so my final poll is how conflict competent do you think your own organisation is? Would you say that it's very conflict competent? You address all the three areas equally and have a healthy approach to accessing the positives of conflict? Is it quite conflict competent, patchy perhaps, or some key individuals who lead the way? Or are you still kind of in the foothills of learning to become conflict competent? Perhaps you've got a strong conflict avoidance culture or a really strong fight it out culture, both of which can be equally damaging. And obviously different types of organisations are going to have a different orientation. Sales teams are often far more conflict competent than we might expect, but somebody walking into them who's perhaps more of a reflective person may find the atmosphere and the communication makes them think there's a lot of conflict going on, but in fact to the people in the team itself it's all quite comfortable. So we should be getting a picture of the sense, the extent to which the range of people here today okay, quite conflict confident. Okay, that's really good. Excellent. There's obviously a lot of really good work going on in organisations, which is terrific. And perhaps we can hear from the very conflict competent organisations what they've done. So, if anyone wants to take a conflict profile, please do contact me in confidence at the end of the session. And that's the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for listening, and if you'd like to contact me, you've got my details here, and I'm going to hand you back to Rima.